Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Location-Based Marketing, episode number 112. It's recorded live on January 11th, 2013. On today's show, we've got 9 stories for you, including our bewilderment of Waze, why we think Foursquare Trigger is onto something very cool, and UrbanAirship not wasting any time to getting things done. Also, Scott Lindenbaum of Spun talks to us about using a goat for location-based marketing. Seriously, really think we should have named this episode the Nothing But Awesome Show. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 112 of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. We are recording this live on January 11th, 2013. My name, Rob Woodbridge from Untethered.tv, located in the balmy Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. With me, as always, for 111 previous episodes, Asif Khan. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, Asif Khan, Location-Based Marketing Association. Love doing this show every week with you, Rob. And like always, we got another jam-packed, show and lots of great stories to talk about.
Stellar show, I would say. We're going to cruise through it. But before we begin, I know that you are heading down to New York City for the Street Fight Summit next week. Why don't you talk about this great panel that you've got going on down there and some familiar guests if you've been listening or watching this show around Tether.tv for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's a panel that kind of looks at... the sort of, we're going to be talking about same-day delivery, local jobs, powering the local economy, all that kind of crazy stuff. So we've got, good old Bo Fishback from Zarly on that panel. We've got Bastian from Postmates. We've got Seamless on the panel. So it's going to be pretty interesting discussion, I think. All guys who really know what they're doing and have great companies that they're running. So it should be fun.
There's still tickets.
I'm also, by the way, it's next week's also the NRF's big show. So if you're in retail, everybody's in New York next week. And so I'm going to be, on Monday, I'm going to be at that. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Street Fight. So.
Well, and there's still tickets available for Street Fight, obviously, if you go to...
Actually, it's I just got a note saying it's completely sold out. It's waiting list only now. So.
There you go. That's how popular you are. And say hi to Bo for me. What a great guy. I had him on Untether a while ago. And hopefully we can get him on as a guest of This Week in Location-Based Marketing. That's your sole task to do when you go down there.
Yes, it will be done.
Well, both of those, and then that's New York City for you in a week. That is not bad. I would not complain about being in New York City for an entire week. That's okay. That's okay, Asif.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's like 10 degrees in Toronto, so it's like 12 degrees in New York City. It should be like a balmy vacation for you. What do you say we jump into this? We got a big show. We got a limited amount of time. Some of these stories are stellar. Obviously, some of them actually reinforce what we've been talking about. We're starting to see these companies come out now that are actually, some of our predictions actually coming true 10 days into this year, which is pretty awesome. Not a lot of monetization yet, but we're going to be talking about companies that you'll be familiar with. Life360, YFind. We're going to be talking a little bit about Victoria's Secrets. That's Asif's little guilty pleasure, is it? Urban.
Well, I did do some work for that company way back.
Oh, you did?
So, I still have a, keep them close to the heart. They did pay me money at one point. So,
modeling?
I can't, I got to support.
Was that modeling? Is that your modeling career?
Yes, totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we've also got Scott Kavieten's company, UrbanAirship, doing some stuff, which is very cool. Really quickly, how quickly they've integrated some technologies that they've just bought, and they're going with a new product. We've got some results from the Foursquare code. What do they call it? The Code Weekend?
Hackathon.
Yeah, the Foursquare Hackathon. Some TV news. We got a special guest. This is another segment from an interview I did with Scott Lindenbaum from Spun. The app Spun, and it's a very cool thing. It includes a story about a goat, and location-based marketing, so it's pretty cool. We got a couple of funding resources, or funding news, and our resource of the week, which is actually a prediction show or a prediction post about what's going to happen in 2013 in location-based marketing, or a year in the review for location-based marketing. So all that, we're going to jam it into a very short period of time. So let's get this thing rolling. First story. We've talked about this company, I think, YFind, many times. We've not talked about Sprooki before, but these guys are combining their knowledge of the location marketing and location positioning, right? So Sprooki, YFind coming together to create this uber powerful local location-based marketing tour de force for retailers and malls. Did I get any of that right?
Yeah, absolutely. This makes perfect sense to me. I mean, YFind is Singapore-based company. One of the guys who helped us launch the LBMA in Singapore. Indoor positioning is their thing. They're all about that whole indoor mapping, indoor positioning space. And Sprooki is a company also in the Asian market that has been focusing on mall apps, and navigation as well, coupons, discounts, and all of that. So this to me is a logical partnership. Makes a lot of sense. Why go and compete with each other when, for the same mall clients when you can work together and support each other. One guy providing the indoor positioning infrastructure, the other guy doing the front end apps that interact with that. And marrying that stuff up together makes a lot of sense. So I just simply like this deal. It makes sense, it's the kind of thing that on the surface it appears it could be an interesting partnership to start, and potentially the kind of thing that just rolls together. But you never know.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because there is overlap here, right? There's nothing that would stop YFind from putting on a marketing layer or a retail layer, a little bit deeper dive into that. But what Sprooki does is I love it. It closes the action loop. So when you get that notification, you can go and redeem, and you can buy right from that notification. And I think that these are the kind of things that we're going to start to see. The closure, it's not good enough to just be notified. You have to be able to show a return on investment, and that return on investment is got to terminate in some kind of value exchange. So it's either $1 for a product, or an email address, or something that is exchanged in here. So yeah, I think that there's an overlap here. Wouldn't surprise me that if somehow, some way this year, YFind and Sprooki become one. Why Sprooki or SprookiFind?
Yeah, the other thing I like about just quickly a comment on these guys is they might be Asian companies, and they might be focused on that as their primary market, but these guys aren't afraid to come across the pond either. I know YFind is Melvin, who's one of the co-founders, is at CES right now, working the floor, and they're pitching over in the US too. So these guys are all over the place, and when you get this kind of combination of stuff going on, and the strength that can come from it, it makes you more powerful as an international player as well. So I like it.
Yep. Story number 1, YFind and Sprooki working together, and they should. So if you're interested in YFind, just go to yfind.com. If you're interested in Sprooki, SPROOKI.com, and you'll see the difference between the two. Not much. This is what we're going to be talking about. Certainly this bringing together of similar technologies, complementary technologies. Second story, this company that I featured on Untether.tv before, we've talked about before, Life 360. They added this great little feature, which is, hey, you want to know what kind of crime is going on in your neighborhood or a loved one's neighborhood? Well, they've now overlaid crime data into their application. This is I think, probably a good mashup. Frightening, but good.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. I mean, and this category of location-based solution sets, this idea of family services connected to your cellular plans that you have. The idea that I can know where my kids are, my teenagers are, I can and so on. This is becoming a growing thing for carriers as an offering. And so Life 360 is a company that's in that space. They have location finding capabilities. They have apparently 25 million users now between their Android and iPhone apps. So that significant user base there already. They haven't been at it that long, and so I like the sort of horizontal view that they're taking of adding in new capabilities. Crime data being one of those. They've got geofencing stuff going on inside of this as well. So you can set boundaries around your neighborhood or around the school or what have you, and know when somebody leaves that that particular jurisdiction, that geofence that you've set. So a lot of capability here, and a huge growth area. I think we're going to see more and more of these things, not just for family use, but think about the applications for in a B2B context, around long-term care facilities, tracking Alzheimer's patients, all that kind of thing becomes really interesting. So
it really does, and I love the example. I found an article, a write-up of this on BetaKit, and I love the example that they use, which was very simply like, I don't know if it was the CEO or not, but he said basically, when your wife is leaving the office, you can track her to know when she's going to be home in order to make sure that her dinner is ready. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
When you're tracking your wife, you've got other issues. So if you're interested in that, I like this. I certainly like this. I like the geofence. When my kids are old enough, which is 7 or 8 these days, to get a smartphone, I like the idea of being able to know their whereabouts, or when they leave the school, or when they leave a friend's house, or when they leave the house. And especially with a lot of the traveling that you and I do, and it would be very interesting to do that. I'm not sure about the crime data is great, but sometimes I wish I could just put my head in the sand and not know about what crime is going on. But I do live in Ottawa, and it's a very safe city. So if you're interested in this, it's life360.com. Go and check them out and support these guys. I think that they're doing well. And by the way, they've doubled their numbers in a very short period of time. So 25 million users, as you said, but that's incredible growth. 25 million users. And it's a company that I don't know that many of you have heard of. 25 million users. That's insane. That's an incredible number. Way to go, guys. All right, here we are. The third story. I mean, I can't even put any pictures up here. It's Victoria's Secret. What are they doing? They've started a mobile location campaign. What exactly is this? Do I get to meet somebody wearing a bra?
No, you get to buy stuff though. So what they're doing is, they're ramping up their mobile efforts, and in this particular case, they're actually working with Pandora, the radio app on iPhone.
Wait. This is totally ruining it for me now. How is the mobile radio station going to get me a live demonstration of Victoria's Secret?
You know what? If you listen to certain types of music, Rob, you're sort of predisposed to buy certain types of underwear. I guess I'm not sure how it works.
Not as much. Exactly, not as much as if somebody was in front of me. Like here I am. I'm waiting for my Victoria's Secret's model to come and show me some stuff. No.
No, none of that. No, this
Explain what it is.
Pandora Radio serving mobile ads that are location targeted, GPS tag. So you get the ad, you click on it, it shows you where the closest store is to where you are, and it's specific offers. So they're running a promotion. One of the promotions is called "I Love My Boyfriend Pant," there's this limited edition boyfriend pant or something that you can buy. And but the reason I pulled this story out, obviously, Pandora, Spotify, the Weather Channel, all these apps, the ads are now all location targeted, and that's great. And I think it's it does drive traffic into store, and the click-through rates are much better when it's location targeted than if they're not. But the reason I pulled this one out, other than it's Victoria's Secret, is that it's not just about driving traffic to the store. They also allow you to buy directly from the e-commerce site as well, if you want to do this. So they're giving you both options. They're giving you multiple options in terms of how you can engage with this. And so I like that, even though it's a location triggered ad.
And did you know? I just pulled up the site. There's a bra sale, 25 to 40% off.
There you go. All right.
Victoria's Secrets. So yeah, I like this as well. And the fact that they're using Pandora really shows. And we had Triton on maybe 2 episodes ago. Yeah, 2 episodes ago.
Yep.
And talked about how even terrestrial radio stations are a little bit lagging behind in leveraging location and this battle that's going on with this. And I think that having validation by Victoria's Secrets, leveraging Pandora really should, accelerate the adoption of location-based ads for terrestrial radio stations. So this is pretty cool. I like this. It's good. I'm just going to pull up the website again, okay? So just give us a moment.
I think this is one of the rare situations, Rob, where I don't think any of the key stories we're covering today, we have bad things to say about.
No. In fact, how can you say anything bad about this Victoria's Secret? So if you're interested in Victoria's Secrets, the address. You do. Don't lie. victoriassecrets.com. All right, back to technology. Boring technology after that. This is one of my favorite companies that has emerged in the last 2 years in this space, UrbanAirship. Scott Lindenbaum is a classic guy. I love this guy. Love what he's doing. I love the acquisitions that he's made. And this is one of them. He's put it into place. Most people just take, remember when Siri was bought by Apple 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, right when I started on Tether.tv, because I reached out to them and they said, we can't. And then a week later, they were acquired. But it took them 2 years to integrate into their operating system. But not UrbanAirship. They go out and buy a company and they integrate it, and they're now have opened up PassTools, their API for developing passbook applications for everybody. And that was what, 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks since the acquisition?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to think that they were already working on the development of this, while the acquisition was underway. But so this is coming from the acquisition of Tello, which we just talked about. I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes ago on the show as one of the stories. But I'm with you. I completely love this company, UrbanAirship. And it hammers home also. One of the predictions that I made on the prediction show, which is Apple's. Dominance this year coming, and Passbook is just a part of that. For me, I think you're going to see brands all over the place, going crazy on building passport applications. And what I like about this is UrbanAirship is saying, look, we're not going to go out and compete with you. We're not here to build you, an app. We're not here to do this. We're just, we're just here to be Home Depot and supply you the tools that you need, to do it yourself, and make it really easy for you, and give you tools that, so you don't have to code anything. There's no coding required. You can go and build your own passbook, offering, using this thing called PassTools. And I love it. It's simple. It's going to power a lot of brands, and these guys are going to make a ton of money.
Real money. Real money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say enough about this either. We talked about it at the end of the show last week, just literally about or 2 weeks ago. It's blur, right? Somewhere in the hundreds, where it doesn't. You don't. In order to get into the mobile space, into this testing things in this space, you do not need to go out and build an app right away. Here's a perfect thing that is on 160 million devices that is already using it. Passbook to me is an open opportunity that I think that many companies, small, large retailers, will start to use very effectively. And UrbanAirship, man, I mean, they were right there for the messaging, in-app messaging, cross-platform. Now they understand the opportunity that is Apple Passbook, and I love the fact that they are the tool developers, not the developers themselves. And I think that that's really where you're going to get rich, in developing the tools that other people use.
There you go.
So if you're interested, urbanairship.com. Can't say enough about those guys. Scott, we got to get you back on the show. And that's it. So urbanairship.com, PassTools API. If you are an enterprise, they're only selecting a few companies to go through this process right away. But if you're a larger enterprise, I'm pretty sure you can get in there. And if you're a larger enterprise, you should also probably be sponsoring this if you've listened to more than 5 episodes. All right? We know who you are. We track you. Right?
Yep.
We know that. I see you, Bill, in Wisconsin. I see you out there. All right, our fifth story. Well, we have 6 stories today, Asif.
I know.
Wow. All right, I just glued into that. Our 5th story. This is from the Foursquare Hackathon that happened last week, first week of January. And this is one of these things that, again, a bold prediction made by Asif just a short 2 weeks ago. Could this be the opening in this kind of interest in location-aware, contextualized, temporary applications? I love this. So it's called Foursquare Twigger. Foursquare Trigger.
Yeah. First of all, I hammer a lot on Foursquare. I'm on record saying I don't think they're going to be around at the end of the year. That someone's going to buy them. By the way, somebody wrote an article. I think it was Business Insider. There's a big article this week. I don't know if you caught that one, Rob. That completely echoes what I said, which is, exactly, Foursquare is not going to be around. So there's a lot of that talk going on out there. But kudos to them for running a hackathon, encouraging developers to come out and build stuff that maybe, can help them find ways to generate revenue, because they need to find ways to generate revenue. They are struggling mightily. So they ran this last weekend, New York and San Francisco. About 100 people came out in New York, about 50 in San Francisco. About 80 apps apparently were developed over the course of the weekend. And one of them was this thing called Foursquare Trigger. And the reason I pulled this one out, there's a lot of good ones in there that we could have talked about, but I pulled this one out because it simply kind of points to something that I've been talking about for a while, and that is the idea of, as we get to, a world where at the LBMA we like to describe as, where every person, place, and thing is geotagged and geo-addressable, and we can create relationships between these things. So a building is smart, apps and content are delivered in a contextual way based on time and place. All that kind of stuff becomes really interesting. And so this little app, Foursquare Trigger, kind of jumped out at me because it's kind of like a prelude to that happening. And so very simply, the way it works is you have apps on your device, and often you'll open an app consistently in the same place. So you go to the grocery store, you open up the app that helps you with your find your groceries. You go to a restaurant, maybe there's an app that you have for that particular restaurant chain, or what have you. And all this app does is basically you set relationships between those things. So you say, when I'm at the grocery store, I use this app. So upon a check-in, on Foursquare, when you check in at the grocery store, it'll automatically launch, that particular app that you've made the association with that's connected to that place. So very simple concept, very simple idea. Not sure how you make money from it, but it does point to a world of sort of that idea that I'm trying to get to of, app, being engaged and delivered in a context when it's relevant.
Yeah, it just echoes that. I can't say any more than this. I think this is within the confines of Foursquare. I think that this works very well. It's when you take it out of the confines of Foursquare, I think that there's an opportunity there that is not exploited yet. And it's to your prediction. So Foursquare Trigger. Now I have an address that is 4S the number 4 SQ trigger.appspot.com if you're interested in taking a look at that. And it's pretty cool. And there's a video there. If you go to the Foursquare Hackathon 2013 link, that's on that website as well. So very cool. And this is an innovative piece. Now we got to extract it from Foursquare because Foursquare won't be around next year. All right, our fifth story. This is our sixth story actually. This is when we talk about connected television. Our resource of the week has you talking about your highlight of 2012 and a few other people in this space. But this is one of these stories that we've talked about a lot, which is the second screen space. And I think that there's a conflict that's about to happen on the second screen space between the broadcasters, the major broadcasters, and the app makers. And I think that everybody is, locking arms and singing Kumbaya right now. But I think that there is going to be a serious amount of animosity. It was one of my predictions this year that the living room is going to get owned by somebody, and there is a fierce battle going on. And here's another entrant in that company called ConnecTV. And they are synchronizing your ad experience from broadcast onto the device.
Yeah, this is huge. And you talked about this in your predictions. This second screen, and it completely echoes where I am, which is location is anywhere, any place, any medium, television being one of those, and connecting those mediums together. And what I like about this is the simplicity of how the actual system works. And so what they've done is not unlike, we talked a lot on the show about Shazam and their new sort of business model around, listening to the audio, Shazamming a TV commercial, creating a call to action on the mobile device. And we're seeing more and more of that, which is great news for them. The way ConnectTV works is slightly different. It's still audio-based in the way Shazam works, but it's not based on listening for necessarily a piece of music or something like that. What's happening here is that they've created something called TV Words, which works kind of like the way Google AdWords works online in search. And so when a commercial comes on, or even during a regular broadcast, during a TV show itself, and somebody mentions a key word. And the example that they gave in the article that I read was with American Express. And they said, so let's say that the guy, the comedian guy on the show Parks and Recreation on NBC, Aziz Ansari, comes in on his role on the show, and he talks about American Express. Anytime he says Amex, it creates a trigger to basically launch a mobile experience to follow from that. And so it's really interesting to see how they're doing this. And from a technology perspective, I think it's simple and cool. And like the Shazam thing, I think it could be quite effective. The challenge, obviously, they have is where Shazam already has 400 million users. How many do these guys have, and how do they build that user base becomes a challenge. Now they have some great investors. I mean, Cox Media Group, EW Scripps, Bello, Gannett, Hearst, all these guys are involved in the company. So, so they got some of the right pedigree that's there backing them, but still a challenge.
It's a very, very, very competitive space. You've got some massive players that are not going to give this up, including your cable provider like Comcast or Rogers or Bell or a satellite provider. They've got this box on your television set. They want to own the living room. You've got Microsoft playing in here. You've got Apple about to get into here, even beyond their Apple TV. You've got all the television manufacturers that are interested in doing this. Smart TVs were abound everywhere at CES, which I think is a dead stop. Smart TVs is a dumb idea, but you've still got this massive battle. Console gamers, this is not lost. This is not won. This is going to be an ongoing battle. And here's another entrant in this with some good investors. And I'm going to start to see like the major network organizations, the networks that are pushing out the content. They have to get into this game. They have to get into it. So maybe this is the first entrance here, but they have to get in. Like you're going to start to see NBC, ABC, because remember the Guatemalan company we talked about last week about the hijack, that campaign hijack. Well, they're going to have to do that. It's going to get that fierce in your living room when you're watching one show, right? And it's going to be like enticements to get you to watch another show through these mobile devices, right? It's the same thing. It's you are a consumer of television, and they are being paid by their advertisers by the audience size and measurable audience size, and it's going to get fierce and it's going to get ugly, and I can't wait to see this play out this year. It's going to be awesome. So if you're interested in this, go to ConnecTV. There's no T there. It's just one T. Connect. ConnectTV.com. Connect TV. If you're interested in taking a look at what they've got going, pretty cool. I love this technology. It's so wicked. Those are the top 6 stories. Great combination of everything that we have focused on here. Some people executing on the things that we've been talking about for a couple of years, which is really great to see. If your story wasn't there, please let us know. Reach out, Rob at Untether.tv or Asif at thelbma.com, and we will publish your story. We'll weave it in there. We'll put it in there somewhere. Great stories, Asif. Thanks, man.
No problem.
All right. I had a chance right before Christmas to sit down with Scott Lindenbaum, who is the founder of Broadcaster, which is a great company that we love very much, and his new company, Spun, at getspun.com. It is a location-based news application, very, 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 very solo-mo when it comes to news and broadcasting. Very limited audience. I love it very much. It's a very cool app. Interface is awesome. I also asked him near the end of the interview, if you haven't watched it, about location-based marketing, specifically around what he's doing with the app. And he went off in a direction that was amazing. He talked about the limitations and the capabilities and how you have to close the loop in location-based marketing. And he also talked about this experiment that he wanted to do, which involves a goat. So, without further ado, Scott Lindenbaum of Spun talking about his location-based marketing experiment with a goat. But when you look at what you're doing with Spun, I mean, does obviously location plays, like location-based marketing is just kind of waking up right now. And so obviously location plays into this as a revenue model, or as a concept, or as a catalyst for revenue for you guys. Do you think about that a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, location-based marketing is fascinating because I learned recently that there's something called an activation firm. You know, these are slightly different than marketing firms. These are people that are just saying, we want to kind of use your context to activate your mind around a product. So, for example, I was a professional snowboarder for 10 years. Now, when you're coming down the hill, And you get to the bottom and you see a little banner that says, you know, this snowboard park is sponsored by Red Bull. You have no opportunity to convert into right then into buying a Red Bull, right? So what's happening though is you're being activated. You just had a good experience. Red Bull's in front of you. You say, all right, I see it. I get it. There's Red Bull there. Great. But they're not putting you into a marketing funnel right away. But when you get to the lodge, right, now you're going to see, well, there are Red Bull products available. And so suddenly that's location-based marketing. I mean, they're creating an analog funnel that starts when you get off the lift and it ends when you go in for lunch. Now, there are ways that your phone can intervene there and maybe even make it a little bit more interesting. But I think that location-based marketing is tough. The reason for that is because when you think like, well, how many people realistically go through that snowboard park every day? Let's say there was a way to create that experience digitally or to unlock something by going tripping a Bluetooth thing at the end of the park. And then when you get to the lodge, let's say you get a deal. Now you get 2 for 1 Red Bull, right? So that's an idea for location-based marketing. And every single snowboarder has an iPhone because this is an upper middle class sport, right? These are people with disposable income. These are people that wear headphones on the hill. So they've got an iPhone in their pocket, I guarantee you, and it's Bluetooth compatible. And they just had a Bluetooth sync to their car when they drove to the mountain. So we can create location-based marketing there. But the reality is, like, how many people are going through that park every day? And what's your conversion rate? So at a certain point, you got to think, well, how many people are going to the Huffington Post every day comparatively? And it becomes super difficult. It becomes a totally different challenge because how much effort can you put in to convert a small number of people? Like we partnered with Lincoln Center last year during Broadcaster, but only a couple thousand people ever walk by Lincoln Center in the course of a given day. And that's in the busiest city in the world. So suddenly it becomes a question of ROI. How much are you willing to put in and how much can you get back? So then what I see around location-based marketing is a desire to find more efficient ways to do it. And also a desire to connect location-based back to higher traffic digital areas. So if location-based can start with location, but get into a larger social funnel, that's a really good location-based idea. For example, I'll tell you a really stupid idea I had with IDEO. We brainstormed this one thing a couple of years ago, but it kind of suggests something about what I'm talking about because it's a little abstract right now. We said, okay, summer in New York, what do we want to do? We want to have something that starts in place but ends on Twitter, right? How do we start in one spot and end on Twitter? Because everybody that hits the ripple effect of it once it's in Twitter counts, right, in terms of an impression for us. So we just want the inception point to be in place. So we said, well, here's what we need to do. Goat thoughts. What we're going to do is we're going to tether a goat to a pole in the middle of Central Park, and he's going to have a keeper, and the keeper will lie in a lounge chair and say nothing.
What?
The goat will have there'll be a speak hooked up to the goat, and people will be able to tweet things that they want the goat to say. And then we'll basically have this thing that becomes now it's a story, right? Because location-based marketing works if it can get into social channels and if it can get into media channels. So in a lot of ways, location-based marketing is really like an activation thing, right? That's kind of what I learned. So what are we trying to activate? We're trying to activate social, and we're trying a funnel and a media funnel. So if you have a goat in the park that has a speaker hooked up to it, well, first of all, PETA might. No. But then, honestly, the New York Times might write about that because it's so crazy. And alternatively, if it works, people are going to be tweeting ideas, hashtag goat thoughts all day long. Now, if I could get James Franco to be the voice of the goat, you're talking about location-based marketing. Go to Central Park and hear James Franco enumerate the thoughts of a goat. Now, I'm not saying that this is a good idea, but what I'm saying is it orchestrates or it illustrates a point that location-based marketing has to lead to a larger funnel, or else it doesn't hit a big enough audience to be worth going to find a goat every morning.
It's so true. There's kind of a parable there. There's a lesson there, and then I think if you get Wilco to do the soundtrack to this, it would be perfect.
Exactly, man. That's exactly.
Well, that was Scott Lindenbaum. You see what I mean? He brings a goat into it. I don't know how he brings a goat into this, but if you're interested, there's a full interview. I should pull it up on Untether.tv. It's one of the top stories on Untether.tv. If you want to listen to that whole thing, I suggest you subscribe anyways. You'll get this show and all of the Untether shows, which is once a week. So you get 2 episodes a week. But Scott's a pretty thoughtful guy. I love the way he thinks about these technologies. And so a little bit more insight from Scott Lindenbaum, the co-founder of a company called Spun. Go to getspun.com or check out the full interview on untether.tv. See, if I love this guy. Just full of insight.
He's just awesome.
I love
good people.
I love what they do, and this is what this industry brings: is this type of imagination and fluid thinking and a little off the wall, eccentric thinking as well. So thank you, Scott, for letting us use that, and thanks for being a guest on Untether.tv. All right, we got 2 funding stories. These are interesting stories because they're industries that are either saturated or I would say like a municipal nightmare. The first story is GetYourGuide. They raised about $14 million. What is this company? Why is this significant?
I think when you look at segments, industry segments around who's doing location and mobile, certainly hospitality and tourism is one of those. This is an interesting company, GetYourGuide. $14 million. They're based in Zurich in Switzerland. And that's money coming from a group called Venture Village, as well as Spark Capital and Highland Capital, their European division. So, some good people behind that. Apparently, these guys, they operate in a number of countries. They've got like all sorts of, sort of tour destinations, activities mapped out. Usually like sort of not the necessarily booking hotel rooms and flights, but booking tours in cities, booking sort of excursions and day trip things, and shark diving and all kinds of stuff like that. So kind of fun stuff. And the interesting thing about that for me is that it's a set of data that a lot of other mobile location apps in the industry don't have. So for me, there's again, all of this stuff that you and I talk about all the time is about data, and to me, this is a data play that it has not been realized yet, and could be like they could be licensing this out to a number of other companies and service providers out there. So they got $14 million to keep growing that set of data that they've got and make it bigger and hopefully do some good deals. So. Get Your Guide.
GetYourGuide.com is where you want to go. Get your guide. Get your guide. $14 million is a lot of money, and it's a very competitive landscape. You're right, and big data, the biggest data will win. So GetYourGuide.com raises $14 million. Second story, this is what I was talking about, kind of a municipal nightmare is parking. You feel it as the city grows. There's a crunch to find a parking spot. Street parking, now everything pays. I got these meters. Oh my God, it's a nightmare, right? And it's a cash grab by cities when they put on meters on every street. But this is a company that I love this idea. A company called StreetLine. They raised a whack of cash. Talk about it, Asif. They raised a lot of money.
Yeah, they have raised a lot of money. $25 million coming into this. It's a Series C led by True Ventures as well as Qualcomm Ventures and Citi. And they got, their previous investors are Sutter Hill, Rockport, and a few others. I mean, these guys have obviously been at it for a little while. They got a whack of cash here. They're putting sensors into parking spaces, in municipal parking spaces, which, you and I talked briefly about, that's a challenging business model, getting municipalities to agree to work with you and do things, but, not insurmountable. 25 million can help, grease some palms, I'm sure, in various municipalities. Look, I mean, I just read this week, another story that we could have equally talked about here is Google's putting free Wi-Fi in Chelsea, in New York, the entire, borough of Chelsea. Obviously these things are doable, and I think StreetLine's certainly got some good technology, sort of parking is always a challenge for people, and we have way too many cars and not enough parking spots, and being able to find them and pay for them and do all those kinds of things is, the more technology that we can get into that to streamline that process, the better.
100%. There's I think there's a balance here, right? Where street parking is always going to be a challenge to find a good spot. Like, and these guys, maybe they'll come up with it, but there is such a massive opportunity for more than 10 companies, and maybe there's one for every city almost, because you remember, have you ever pulled into a parking lot or gone into street parking and you saw that spot, and you're waiting for that person to back out, and they back out one certain way, and then that prick cuts in and grabs that spot instead of you because it came from the other side. I see a lot of this happening. Hey, like, I paid for that spot. No, you didn't. I reserved it. No, you didn't. Screw you. And then fisticuffs, and then police, and it gets ugly, right? At least that's what happens in our Byward market. And then the drunks get in, and it's like, I just saw you reverse it, all that kind of stuff. So I think that there's a lot that has to be done perfect in order for this to work. I love the idea of parking lots, though, about availability in parking lots, and especially when you get really into what New York's done, which is the double-decker, triple-decker, conveyor belt style parking garages, where you want to reserve a spot. But what I love about what they're doing here, what I love, is the idea that I can pay from my smartphone. I think that cities are losing on a ton of cash.
Yeah, and you've got QuickPay, as a competitor in this space, it's doing exactly the same. It's all about making a reservation for a spot and paying for it in advance.
Yeah, but I think that even on street parking, cities are losing a ton of money by, like, how many times do you actually pay for an hour and stay for an hour and a half, right? And then you don't get a ticket and you drive off. So every time that happens, the city's losing half an hour's worth of that parking revenue, and there's no way to recover it. But I swear, if you had an app, Asif, and it set an alarm and it said, like, oh, you know what, you got to replenish your parking meter in an hour, and it did that, and it popped up and said, oh, would you like to pay now? And you're sitting in the restaurant, and you say, yeah, just pay now. Without a doubt, you would pay 100% of the time. You would pay it. The city wouldn't lose that 30 minutes of revenue, or however many extra minutes of revenue. You would pay. You wouldn't get your ticket. City would collect more money. That's why I love this app. So if you're interested in it, go to StreetLine.com, and $25 million for those guys. Wow, I think this is great. It's just the future of parking. It's not very exciting, but it is so exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, those are the two funding stories. We talked about GetYourGuide raising $14 million and StreetLine raising $25 million. If you raised some money in this and you're not listed there, shame on you. Reach out, rob at untether.tv or sif@thelbma.com. We will put you in there. Promise. Swear to God. Scout's honor. Whatever that means. All right, our last piece of business, our resource of the week. Asif, you are all over the place with your predictions. Where was this thing done? This is actually Aaron Strout, right? Your good friend Aaron that put this together. Location-based marketing 2012, a year in review. Great resource.
Yeah, this is it's a good one. This is the second year Aaron's done this. He reached out to some of the same folks, some new ones. Before we get too far out, in the year, I thought, there's still room for some predictions out there. You've obviously heard mine. Obviously, I wrote a little thing for this too, but there's a lot of other good people that he reached out to in this that have some great insights into what's going on in the industry. Some from the brand side, Jason Falls, people like that can really help you get a feel for what might be coming in 2013. So. A lot of great people. He had Andy Elwood from Waze on there, and obviously Waze has been in the news. We've been talking about them and Apple. There was somebody from Twitter, I think, on that list as well. So a lot of good people. That just providing interesting opinions. So take a look at it. Location-based marketing 2012, a year in review.
Yeah, very good. Rob Reed was in there. I love to see these kind of predictions or these reviews of the things that surprise people. And certainly the person you're in there, Lauren Driver, is the account strategist at Twitter. So there's a lot of people that are there. But it's good to be reflective and think about it. Everybody knows that 2012 was supposed to be the year of mobile and location, and it wasn't, and NFC, and it wasn't. So I love these predictions because they're grounded, and I love the fact that people are reviewing these things with open minds, ready to change their ideas of what their predictions are. So very cool. Before we finish, though, Asif, before I let you go, and let everybody go, there's two things. One, you brought up Waze, and there was a rumor that they were offered $500 million by Apple to be acquired by Apple, right? So this was a big story at the end of last week. TechCrunch put this out, and they politely declined. And let me go on record here. I've done it on Twitter. Andy, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? I just want to say that, because anybody who turns down that kind of cash and thinks that, and their investors, if they think that this product is worth $750 million, or they haven't been able to turn it into a dime of revenue yet, and they think that they're going to make that much money in advertising, it infuriates me. So I wish you nothing but the best, but you're an idiot. And we've seen this with Groupon. You're an idiot. Anybody who turns down that kind of money, especially from Apple, you will not get on 160 million devices. You won't. You just won't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, when you get that kind of offer, whether it's $6 billion that Groupon turned down or $500 million for this, you got to take it. You can go out and you can build 3 new companies, tomorrow, but you got to take it. There's no way, and the problem is it's not even Andy.
It's his board.
It's investors that don't understand the market, don't understand, the potential of where these products, the sort of the ceiling in terms of what's possible around some of these solution sets.
500 million.
And but they're holding out simply because, of what they've put in and what they think it should be worth and what they can get. And then they go, well, Instagram got $1 billion and this one, you know what, guys? Take a reality check. The valuations are way out of whack, and my guess is this is not an Andy thing. This is
I hope not.
Shareholder investor, idiocy.
Well, I mean, $500 million from Apple. You will be on every Apple device. Like, I don't know what kind of penetration you want. You will not ever generate $500 million worth of revenue out of this company based on advertising. So even if you have 20 or 30 million users, it's ridiculous. But it's so infuriating when I hear kind of this stuff where there's some great ideas out there that are struggling. And you're right. Go and take that money and go and do something. Don't be so goddamn greedy. It's just insane. And it'll come back. I swear to God, it'll come back and bite you in the ass because of that bonehead move. And if it is Andy, if it's not, I don't care. It's just such a dumb move. So it's infuriating. It's infuriating. Let's jump. The last thing is we talked about it over the last couple of weeks. We contributed to a book. Asif and I contributed to a book. It is called The Everything Guide to Mobile Apps for Developers, Businesses, and Brands. There's an incredible list of, I think, 25 other writers, or 25 total writers. They're listed here on mobilegroove.com, which is Peggy Ann Saltz who put this book together. It includes, you name it. It even includes some of the people that we've talked about today, even Gary Schwartz. It includes guys like Scott Kavitin wrote a chapter for this. The App Clover guys over at Matt Lutz, and certainly myself and Asif contributed. This is going to be a killer book. It's coming out at the end of January. Just do a search for The Everything Guide to Mobile, and you will find us. And it is available for pre-order on Amazon. 112 done. I feel good. I got that out about Waze. I feel good. And I think that we can start fresh for episode number 113. But I wish I had made that prediction that Waze will suffer from this. If you have any comments about this show, if you agree or disagree, if you think that we're completely off our rocker about a story like that Waze story, please reach out. We would love to hear you. We've had some great response. We're going to get some people on as guests that have reached out because we've talked disparagingly about their product. And we're going to get them on here to make us see the light. We love that. So reach out, Rob at Untitled.tv or Steve at thelbma.com.
Yeah. And great show. Lots of good stories there. I mean, models, goats. I mean, all we're missing is Sacha Baron Cohen, and we can tie it all together there. I think we'd be good. But anyhow.
All right, we will see you. Asif, safe travels to New York. We'll get the full roundup of Asif's retail experience next week for episode number 113.
Yep.
But until then, safe travels, man, and everybody will see you next week on This Week in Location-Based Marketing.